1 year ago, Keir Starmer stood triumphantly at the podium, smiling as the new Prime Minister of Britain. Labour had just crushed the Tories in a historic election, securing a majority not seen in decades. But today, barely 12 months later, the ground beneath Labour is cracking. A political earthquake is rumbling through Westminster, and its epicentre? Reform UK, once dismissed as a fringe movement, is now ahead of Labour in the polls. And in the distance, a familiar figure re-emerges from the shadows, Jeremy Corbyn. The establishment is shaking, and British politics is headed for one of its most unpredictable phases in modern history. Did you know that over 95% of our viewers aren't subscribed to the channel? We totally get it. Life gets busy and sometimes it's easy to forget. But here's the thing, subscribing is completely free, and it really helps us keep creating the content you enjoy. So why not hit that subscribe button and join our community? It only takes a second, but it makes a world of difference to us. Thank you for your support. When Labour swept to power in July 2024, it seemed like a moment of catharsis for the British public. After years of conservative chaos, 3 prime ministers in 4 years, economic shocks, and scandals, Labour offered a message of calm and restoration. Keir Starmer promised stability and service. He pledged to rebuild Britain brick by brick. And the public, or at least a third of it, gave him a mandate. But there was a quiet truth hidden in the numbers. Labour may have secured 411 seats in Parliament, but it did so with just 34% of the vote. In fact, voter turnout was the second lowest in modern history. Millions abstained altogether. And the fastest growing movements weren't Labour or the Conservatives, they were the political extremes. The seeds of rebellion were already in the soil. By late 2024, Reform UK, led by Nigel Farage, had begun to surge. Initially mocked by pundits as a single-issue Brexit relic, Reform started climbing in polls, slowly at first, then dramatically. By February 2025, something unthinkable happened. Reform overtook Labour in one major poll, 25% to 24%. At first, it was dismissed as an anomaly. But the trend didn't fade. It hardened. People across working-class communities in the Midlands and North began shifting. Former Red Wall strongholds, once the pride of Labour's identity, were now Reform battlegrounds. And for many, the appeal was obvious. Labour was seen as distant, managerial, too metropolitan. Reform spoke plainly, emotionally, and tapped into economic frustrations. By June 2025, Reform had overtaken Labour in 5 national polls. This wasn't a protest vote anymore, it was a movement. Inside Labour, panic began to grow. What was supposed to be a 5-year reign of calm had turned into a 12-month firefight. Rachel Reeves' mortgage strategy, originally pitched as a safety net for borrowers, came under attack. Critics warned it could accelerate repossessions, pushing working families to the brink. Reeves insisted it was a fair balancing act. But the damage was done. Headlines roared. Labour plan could push thousands into homelessness. Then came the regulatory bonfire. Reeves announced she would take the boot of regulation off the throat of business. But progressives within the party were furious. Wasn't Labour meant to regulate for fairness, not deregulate for profit? Within weeks, Starmer was facing a 49 MP rebellion over welfare reform. His proposal to streamline universal credit collapsed, forcing a major retreat. The headlines were clear. Labour leader loses control of his party. Biggest backbench revolt since Blair. While Labour was fighting fires, Reform was laying groundwork. Local council elections in May saw Reform gain control in several districts, including unexpected wins in Kent and Derbyshire. In some areas, they finished second, ahead of Labour. Farage capitalised on every Labour misstep. He tore into the car grant scheme, calling it a gift to the elite. He mocked Starmer's green promises, asking, "How does that help a nurse in Doncaster who can't afford an electric car?" Even Labour's victory in a Scottish by-election came with a warning. Yes, they held the seat, but Reform came third, pushing the Lib Dems aside and outperforming the Tories. Suddenly, Every Labour MP with a 5,000 vote margin was under threat. While Reform stole the spotlight from the right, another threat was brewing on the left. In June 2025, Jeremy Corbyn and MP Tsar Sultana announced a new political platform, a return to the genuine democratic socialism. Dubbed by some as Momentum 2.0, their movement quickly gained online traction. Then came the poll that shook Labour to its core. A hypothetical Corbyn-led party polled neck and neck with Starmer's Labour. 15% each, with millions of voters saying they'd consider switching if Corbyn stood. And the demographic split was clear. Reform was winning over older, working-class voters. Corbyn's movement appealed to younger, urban progressives, Labour's historic base. Now, Labour was being squeezed from both ends. In July 2025, the polling company More in Common released its bombshell. If a general election were held today, Reform UK would win 290 seats. Labour? Just 126. Conservatives? Below 100. And Corbyn's party? Between 30 and 40. It was a doomsday scenario for Keir Starmer. Not only would he lose power, he might lose his own seat. Public approval ratings showed Starmer at -43%. Worse than Truss at her lowest point. Angela Rayner had lost the support of Unite, one of Labour's key unions. Labour's core pillars, unions, youth, the North, were all cracking. Let's pause and analyse. Why is this happening so fast? Economic misfires, Labour failed to inspire confidence. Their economic messaging often felt vague, not bold or transformative. Disconnected language, critics say Labour became too technocratic, speaking in data while the public needed emotional resonance. No clear enemy, without the Tories to fight, Labour lost its antagonist. Reform filled that void with fire, rage, and identity. Policy gaps, from housing to immigration to crime, Labour's proposals often seemed half-formed, overmanaged, and lacking urgency. Starmer himself, fair or not, Starmer struggles to connect. Even among Labour voters, his charisma and vision rank low. Reform UK's rise wasn't accidental. Nigel Farage, love him or hate him, understands populist momentum better than almost anyone in Britain. He focused on simple messaging, Britain first, cut the red tape, restore our borders. Targeted outrage, electric cars, immigration, crime, framed as elite obsessions. Media dominance, regular slots on GB News, TikTok virality, and provocative interviews. The brilliance of reform isn't in policy depth, it's in narrative control. While Labour argued the finer details of regulation, Farage was telling stories. Stories about real people. About frustration. About betrayal. That's what millions related to. Jeremy Corbyn's new movement isn't trying to win 300 seats. But it doesn't need to. All it has to do is take just enough votes from Labour to wreck its chances in marginal constituencies. And that's the danger. Every vote that goes to Corbyn in Hackney or Brighton is a potential seat lost in Bolton or Wakefield. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts. And Corbyn knows this. He's not looking to govern. He's looking to reshape Labour from the outside, the way Farage reshaped the Tories from the right. As we enter the second half of 2025, here's the situation. Labour is hemorrhaging support. Reform is growing faster than expected. Corbyn is quietly mobilising. And the Conservatives? They're watching, hoping for a miracle. For Starmer, time is short. He needs a major reset, in tone, in policy, in direction. Because if things continue as they are, Labour may not just lose power. It might lose its soul. What do you think? Can Labour turn this around before 2026? Is reform here to stay, or is this just a protest surge? And do you believe Jeremy Corbyn's comeback will split the left for good? Let us know in the comments below. We read every one. And if you found this breakdown valuable, don't forget to like and share. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. The battle for Britain's future is only beginning. And we'll be here to cover every twist and turn.